Let's roll. This is Countercharge, your podcast for ranks, flanks, and kings of war. Join your hosts as they delve into the world of Panithor and bring you worldwide coverage of all things Kings of War.
Welcome to Countercharge. I'm Rob Enough.
And I'm Matt Croger. Tonight we're going to discuss the forces of nature from the upcoming Fracture book from our advanced copy provided by Mantic. Something I haven't touched on in one of the other episodes, Rob, is that the way that Mantic have done this, we've got our own little copy with a nice little Countercharge watermark on it saying that this is our advanced copy. So
when those other podcasts leak it, is what you're saying, they're going to get caught?
Yeah, exactly. So, a nice little touch there from Mantic that's, part personalization, part security.
Of the armies that got new army lists in this book, I think Force of Nature might be the most significant change. Obviously they have a bunch of new models coming and a lot of traits have changed. And so out of the four that we're going to be doing little primers on, this one will probably be a little longer just because there are more changes. At the top, Verdant trait is no longer a thing. So former Verdant units are now divided up between Elemental, and that would be like Forest Animals, Tree Herder, and Forest Warden, or Herd, which is the Critter. So I welcome that because obviously if you can figure out why they would do that, it probably means you're going to have less situational commands potentially, right? Because you have one less trait to have to deal with.
The other overarching change is that all four of the greater elementals, including things like the Tree Herder, now have a unit limit of 2. I doubt people were squeezing more than 2 into their list anyway, but I think that's good to limit it for people maybe taking multiple battalions or something. And of course, this list, we already knew this from the new models, right? But it has a buttload of unit changes compared to the base list, which, Mantic certainly took me by surprise, Rob, with leaning into that herd style theme with nature.
I did not have herd being a central theme of the army on my bingo card. On our previous list primers, we didn't really talk about theme, but one thing that jumped out on me in here is they explain thematically why there's no salamanders in this list, which I thought was cool. Before we get to the units, I think it's important that we touch on, maybe the army got a new spell, and let's talk about some of these juicy new commands. So you want to start with command orders?
Sure. So first we have the reworking of Blessing of the Lady on a 4+. Again, it was heal and used to remove damage per success. Now it grants N barkskin tokens where N equals successes. But the unit can't gain further barkskin tokens by other means that turn. So, it's good that they've thought of this. I think some of these changes, there's obviously been thought of how things could stack and create a negative play experience for people. So that's a nice change.
The next one is Nature's Trails. That was one that people were like, is there too much Strider in the game, right? Well, this one, the target number has moved from 4 to 5+, and rather than only large infantry being eligible, they just made it herd or elemental. So they actually widened the number of units that can take this. And it does still grant Strider. So if you didn't like it before, it's only gotten better. Thematically, the next one, Stampede, which is brand new, 5+. As soon as I read Stampede, I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? I remember my very good friend Michael up in Kansas City. It was his first tournament, and he had a bunch of Stampedes, and the ogres showed the Stampedes what for. But normally I'm on the other end of that Stampede, whether it was Andrew Atkins running it down my throat. So I was like, ooh, what do we got here? Well, for 5+, it's herd only. A unit charged and routed this turn is treated as yielding. The stampeding unit must go forward and is hindered if it contacts another unit. So it's basically, you get to go into another combat, right? But you are hindered. It's not the same of going through like a little flag bearer, right? You're going through a big unit and, you're going to lose some of your momentum. I thought that is super cool. And it's herd only, and there is a ton of herd units in this list. A ton.
Yeah. I love this. And 5+, so this and Nature's Trails with the 5+, it is completely reasonable on 3 dice that you miss a 5, right? So it's certainly not guaranteed.
And I actually like that it's not 2 4+. It just keeps it simpler for me.
I don't know what it was about this rule, but when you started reading it, just the song came into my head. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy.
She'll
eat
chew you up. Oh, here she comes. She's a stampede. Oh, wait, no, sorry, it's Man-Eater. But yeah, for sure. The fact that you even know Daryl Hall and John Oates is interesting because you're not that old.
I'm old enough to know classics, mate.
For sure. The older we get, the more interesting it's like, oh, like what I just thought was yesterday is now a classic. Like, I just thought, yeah.
Florence loves like old school rock. She'll be like, can you put Smoke on the Water on? Or, you know,
my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Or, a bunch of old stuff like that. You know, we built this city and stuff like that.
We built this city from like 1986.
Exactly.
I mean, when were you even born, Matt?
86, mate. I'm a boy of 86.
Like and maybe, it had to be like 85 or 86, right? So, interesting.
Yeah, but I'm definitely going to be, if I collect nature, I'll be singing that on the table if I'm getting Stampede off. So next up, we've got Elemental Force on a 4+, which is new. Elemental only, gain Rampage N+2 in combat, where N is the number of successes. That's nice.
Elementals are larger, units, obviously, right? Typically, going to be large infantry and stuff. And I think it's cool to just give you an option of, hey, let's give them a couple extra attacks against, these pitiful little humans coming at me. And then the final command, and also another new one, is Entanglement of Thorns. Just right there, that drips a theme, right? So I already know where this is going. And I'll be honest, like, this is super cool. I think the only thing that's even more thematic is their new spell that we're going to get to next. I thought that was like, oh, wow. A little complicated, though, for this dummy, right? So that's a problem, but I still think it's super dripping in theme, makes it fun. But Entanglement of Thorns on a 4+, if this unit routes in combat this round, units it was engaged with can only receive a hold post-combat order.
Oh,
It's almost like the old Crystal Pendant, right? Where you pop it and then they're just sort of stuck there.
And again, that's powerful late game, right?
If this command goes off and that unit kills the unit that has this command on it, you know where they're going to be sitting. That is super tasty.
Yeah. So again, will require a lot of planning, but I think these, again, like the Basilean changes, these play so well into a theme. And I think for me, that is the thing that really surprised me with the leaning into the herd too, is it actually suits the Green Lady theme in the Forest of Galahir so well because they've decided to make the herd so crittery as well. I think, whether you like a couple of the models or not, I think in terms of the theme of how they've changed that and lent into a specific of the theme, I think they've knocked it out of the park. The more I've sat on it, and when I see this, I'm like, that theme of that, they've nailed it.
And let's get to the new spell. Let's start with this. It's a unique spell, Life Awakening. It's 25 points. It's for nature spellcasters. It's 18 inches. It targets difficult terrain only. Friendly units in or touching gain a Barkskin token. Okay, I like that, right? Because you've targeted the difficult terrain. You could have 4 or 5 units touching the difficult terrain. They each get a Barkskin token. Awesome. Each hit deals a piercing 2 hit to enemy units touching. They all get piercing 2 hits, based on the number of successes you had on the command throw.
Well, and again, 25 points I think is pretty good. And like some of these commands, I think gets more powerful later in the game. Like, can you imagine a unit of an enemy unit is hanging on like on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 wounds, getting ready to take a token, you fling a pond into them.
Yeah.
They take a piercing hit and you roll. If they're not engaged, they will roll a nerve test. So it specifies it's the engaged ones that don't. That's cool for me. Yeah, I just like it. It's almost like the Lord of the Rings raising of the river, isn't it? On the way into Rivendell.
And I don't remember if we said that, but it's actually 4 is the Life Awakening unique 4. So you potentially could be giving each of those units 4 piercing 2 hits if you roll super hot. So maybe we can get in and just chat about some of the new units. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think people will be aware of most of these new units from the new models, but you won't be aware of things like the stat lines yet. So Tribal Hunters, Auxiliary 130 points, Regiment 165 points, Speed 6, Melee 4, Shooting 5, Defense 4, Attacks 10, 12, Herd Keyword, Pathfinder, Scout, Stealthy, Hunter Slings, which are 18 inches with Piercing 1. Nice little shooting unit, I think, there for 165 points. 12 attacks, piercing 1. I mean, it's not huge. It could be better, but a nice little compliment.
And next we have the Grim Brocks, which essentially replaced the Longhorns in the list, right? They're heavy infantry. They're coming a trooper regiment, 135 or 185, speed 5, melee 3, defense 5, attacks 9 and 18. They have the herd. See, there's a thing here. All those great commands, there's a bunch of them they hit that work with herd. But here's what I like. They got Brutal 2, Pathfinder, Retaliate. Are you still down on Retaliate rule?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of more positive than a lot of people, but honestly, I've barely seen it used.
It's funny. I wonder what Mantic thinks about it because, the dwarves had that command, we're attacked by 2 units and you retaliate. You get to retaliate with crushing strength +1, I think. And they've removed the retaliate rule, and now it's just if you get attacked, you're fighting back. You get to. So Grimbrocks, they also have Thunder Charge 3.
It was also interesting to me. It's a unit that was mentioned quite a bit around the release time, but there's no models for it, right? So
I'm looking at these Grimbrocks, and I'm just thinking, okay, the speed 5. Maybe there's a way to increase their charge distance, but effectively they're slow cavalry. But they're not cavalry, so phalanx doesn't matter. Again, for herd, it feels a little slow. So I'm not sure if the speed 5 there, but we should maybe jump on to the next unit, which is our buddy Keith Conroy's favorite unit, Spirit Walkers. Troop regiment, which is 115 or 150, speed 6, melee 3, plus defense 3, attacks 10 and 15, and they have the herd special. They have the herd trait. They have dread, headstrong, pathfinder, stealthy, and thunder charge 1. Now they're not currently in the nature list, but this unit used to be in the nature list, and I remember Keith won Masters with a big unit of these guys, if I recall correctly. So again, this is a cool unit. I think it would be cooler if we had models for this unit, right? You know what? This would be one that, hey, let's get something on the vault.
I am wondering whether, given that these Grimbrocks and Spirit Walkers that feel really aligned with theme, whether we might.
Yeah, just take the basic Pharaon kit or whatever.
Yeah, and somehow make them a bit more ethereal. Next up, we've got the Centaur Bray Hunters. So troop and regiment, 135, 200, speed 8, melee 4, shooting 5, defense 4, and the attack 7, 14, herd, feint, nimble, pathfinder, thunder 1 with short bows 18 inches. And so these previously you could take as an upgrade, I think, on the Centaur unit, but now they've got their standalone unit entry.
So the next one isn't really a new unit. It just replaces the upgrade to fire elementals that we had before. This is your Guardian Brutes. Again, I think these are the coolest models. If they ever did come out with a Stampede unit, they feel like a Stampede to me, right? So not Minotaurs riding chariots. That was a dumb idea. Sorry, guys. But they're monstrous infantry. They come in a troop or a regiment at 135 or 210. Speed 6, melee 3, defense 4. That seems a little low, but I guess because this unit is kind of a mix, right? They've got the little guys on there as well. Maybe it makes sense. That's the average defense on the base. Attacks 10 and 20. Herd trait. I'm gonna make that a thing. Herd, like a cow or something. Herd. But even though it doesn't make sense because they're not goats anymore, they're cats. But yeah, they have crushing strength too, which is like we talked about in other primers. Like that's not a thing that's a ton of. There's not a ton of units that have that. Pathfinder, wild charge D3. As I mentioned, it used to be a chieftain battalion conversion, and now it's just a standalone unit. And I think this next one, this is your favorite, right? This is like the favorite model, and just I think it's cool. This concept for a unit is neat.
This has to be coming in the resin to the vault or something. Primal Chorus.
Let's tell them what it is first, and then we'll pontificate on what we think it would look like on the table.
Yeah, so it's a large infantry regiment only for 215 points. Speed 6, melee 3, def 5, attacks 12, elemental keyword, brutal 1, crushing 1, fearless, leaper, regeneration 5+, shambling, vicious in combat. And then it's got primal scream, which is surge 5 on itself, and then +3 attacks if it contacts an enemy unit.
This is a unit that Jeremy needs to get behind because essentially it feels like it's all the elementals kind of on one base. Well, then go ahead and take your elementals and mix it all up. And Jeremy, you could play him as forest shamblers. You can play him as flame, the fire guys, the water guy, any of the elementals. It'd be the perfect unit for proxies. Heinrich Schliemann might be angry at this unit.
Yeah. Heinrich. but I'm just trying to think. Yeah, like you said, I mean, because it doesn't have something, it's so interpretive. I don't get a real vibe on what on earth it is meant to be.
I would probably just mix the elementals on a base just to show you have all four. That's what I'd probably do. If you want to be savvy, just mount all your elementals on a troop and just put a couple troops in a movement tray. And because you've got, what is that? You have water elementals and fire elementals. Oh, well, obviously, if you got them in one big regiment, well, then that must mean they're the primal chorus. Even though, to be fair, you know what? Your theory about maybe having a unit makes sense because it's a unique unit. I think unique units need to have something.
Well, wouldn't you just you'd print all your elementals from the vault, wouldn't you? Chop them into quarters, stick them all together so all the elements are in one model, and then just paint all the elements their own color. We know that works, right? People have loved that.
What if you did that? What if you just if you just paint because I mean a troop of elementals is 120 by 40, right? So what if you just individually based all of the elementals on 40 millimeter bases, and then you could literally you could make it as a solid unit of horse shamblers, or you could, mix up in this primal chorus. Though, if it's unique and you only have one unit, then maybe it's worth going to town.
Yeah.
That's cool though. I like the idea. I really like the idea, and it kind of, I know you're a big fan of the Green Lady, and she's got some of that, theme going on there as well.
Do you know what comes to mind in my head for this unit? Bonfire element coming out of the middle, say like a fire elemental coming out of the middle of it with ferons all around it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
And next up, we've got another unique unit, the Great Totem. So this also does not have a model at this stage, although there's a picture on the unit entry, Rob. So that's interesting. War engine, 160 points, no speed, defense 6, nerve 18, and advanced deployment / call of nature. So issues commands, orders. So call of nature isn't it just going to the toilet once per turn. It's issuing command orders, rolling 2d6 like a champion, but it cannot be targeted by command orders. So with the advanced deployment, basically I think at the start of the game, you've basically got to pick out where this is going for the entirety of the game, because it has no movement. So that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a cool war engine. Again, there's a lot of rules there. So I don't know if that's up my alley, but well, next we got some of the new characters, and the first one is Yadrin Thorn Creeper, which this is the champion's character, right?
That is the champion's character, I'm pretty sure.
So he's hero infantry at 145 points, so he's a champion, obviously, which makes sense since he's in the champion's game. But he's special, and he's speed 6, melee 3, defense 3, attack 7. Okay, that's pretty good for an infantry character. Crushing strength 1, individual. Inspiring herd only. Okay. Faint. Whoa. Okay, so he can withdraw for basically without penalty. Leaper. Okay, so now instead of being height 2, he's height 3 for purposes of charging and whatnot, right? He's got Pathfinder, Stealthy, Thunder Charge 1, and Heroic Leap. Okay, here we go, baby. Fly while charging. So he can see over infantry, and he can fly to charge over infantry. I love it. It's kind of Croc Dog reminding. You know how the Croc Dogs used to run through the legs? Now this guy's just jumping over the top. He's like, what? There's a movie, surely there's a movie where you have a hero that jumps over the top and goes, "Come at me, boys!" Ties up a big unit or something.
I can't remember another character that has faint, Rob. Can you?
There are some units. I think Salamanders have a unit that has faint.
Yeah, but not a character.
Characters? I don't know. Yeah, heroes.
So next up, we've got Avatar of the Father. Who's a hero monster, 310 points, speed 9, melee 3, def 5, attacks 9, aura, vicious combat, herd only, crushing 2, fly, Pathfinder, Strider, thunderous charge 1. So I guess fly fits the Avatar thing. Not sure it quite fits the model because the model doesn't look ethereal, does it?
No, but he's a giant lion, and I forget who was
it's more like a leap.
Who was talking about doing a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe theme army? Somebody was.
Oh, yeah. No, that was one of the guys at the tournament I went to.
So funny story. I have a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe Wood Elf army, and
Oh wow.
so but here's the thing. I did it for a doubles event, so I didn't have Aslan. My Bretonian teammate had Aslan. This is like 310 points is a lot, right? But he's got three. He's got the 3 dice for the commands.
9 attacks.
Yeah, 9 attacks. He's got Aura Vicious for the herd, which is pretty tasty. So
yeah, hero monster. He's not a Titan, so small base with fly, so 18 inches with a pivot.
Well, the final new unit sees a return, right? Was he an upgrade before, or he just wasn't in the current version of the list?
I can't remember with Flaxhoof. Yeah, can't remember. He was certainly in version. He was certainly in version 2.
So this sees the return of Flaxhoof, another unique unit. Hero Cav, 205 points. He's a warlord though at 205 points. So that's kind of a discount warlord. I mean, there's probably other ones that are not, they're in that same ballpark. But for that tasty 205 points, you get speed 8, melee 3, defense 4, attack 6, aura, brutal 1. So that's interesting that he's got a brutal aura for herd, which again, there's a lot of cool, like I did not have on my bingo card that they're going to be leaning into the herd as a thematic sliver through this army. But crushing strength 2, I like, he's cavalry, but there ain't no TC on this guy. Phalanx is a problem, but not as much for this guy. Fearless, individual, inspiring, nimble, and Pathfinder. So I really like it. And then in terms of the units that have been removed, we kind of talked about Longhorns. I mean, they were sort of replaced by the Grimbrocks. And then Hunters of the Wild. Is there a unit in this list that kind of fills that spot?
Not really, I don't think. Unless they were heavy infantry, so unless but the Grimbrocks are more Longhorny than Hunters. So yeah, I don't think so.
And we did have a couple units that were renamed. Centaurs became Centaur Brace Striders, which is the melee version, right? So the melee versions moved from specialist to core, but the troop is auxiliary. And they lost the short port option, which you now have a unit called Centaur Bray Hunters. And those stats remained unchanged. And then the Centaur Chieftain has just become the Centaur Chief. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the new units.
Yeah.
Maybe summarize a little bit of the changes. I mean, there's a lot of units that have had changes.
There's a lot. Yep.
Obviously we talked about Verdant moving to, either herd or elemental. That's a lot of these changes.
The 2 Order of the Green Lady units still exist. They're there to be unlocked by the Nature's Champion. The Order of the Thorn, the regiment, is now auxiliary. Tribal Warriors gain a spear or phalanx option. Beast of Nature, its Fire Breath is renamed Elemental Breath. A lot of things that aren't super impactful on the game. I think just a lot of points tweaks, Rob. There's, Tribal Songweaver lost its rallying option, I think probably because of all the different new commands. What I really like about the commands is it feels quite similar to the Trident Realms list now, where you pick your warlord, I mean, partially on its stats, but partially also on what are the auras you want to access and to maximize those. So I think it really changes list building. Wiltfather, is a change. So it's gone up 20 points. It's very inspiring now, and it's unrestricted. It gives this option called the Ladies Reapers. Army-wide forest shamblers may swap defense 4 to defense 4 and melee 3 for free, which is really cool.
These guys already have crushing strength 1.
Well, the interesting thing about losing a pip of defense too is it makes them more likely to receive a Barkskin token as well. So
hence the name Barkskin, right? Like, who has bark? Well,
yeah, that's cool. And he also has Ancient Knowledge, which is +1 to issue command orders to elemental units. That's really cool.
Let's pour out one for our homies, right? The Glade Walker Druid. He was 125 points. Now he's 140. And his defense, though, went from 4 to 5+. He's gained Pathfinder and Rally, but the Ring of Harmony, I believe, is no more. He lost the ability to cast Surge twice clause. But he does have a new battalion rule, which is water and earth elementals are core. Okay, so you have core defense 6 units. I don't know. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And we should also mention the elemental affinity says that while within 6 inches of a friendly unit with the elemental trait, this unit has the elite special rule. I don't mind losing the Ring of Harmony, right? Or that ability to cast. I don't mind losing the ability to cast twice. I always thought that was BS. So that's fine. It's interesting, though, that he's got more defense now, and he's got Pathfinder and Rally for elementals, and he can get elite if he's by the elemental. So I'm not sure. I would imagine that most Forces of Nature folks, unless they were going Order of the Green Lady, they probably have a Gladwicker Druid or 2 modeled. So I think we're still going to see this guy on the table, right? Yeah, he's a warlord at 140 points. That seems pretty good, right? Because you got, and with the commands they have and 3 dice, that seems pretty good. I think that's tasty.
That's a very reasonably priced warlord.
I mean, he's the cheapest warlord to have. Avatar, the Green Lady, is unique, and she's went up by 10 points, and she has a new option for Surge 8 for 30 points. And you have a new battalion rule, which just means all the elemental types are core, which I think is cool right now. She's 250 points, but, you know, if you want to really play into the elemental thing, there you go.
Yeah, well, you can make it 280 with Surge if you want now, too.
Well, and if you're playing into the elemental thing, you probably do want to do that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nature, I think, were already something that was high-ish on the popularity curve from their base rules, Rob, and I don't think this is. I think this will only improve it with a combination of new models.
Yeah, they still have the Shark Command, so they're still going to be, you know, good. I think maybe some people were longing for maybe some more of the Order of the Green Lady to come back, right?
It's doing a lot for me. I think this list. Yeah, I think with the new models, it would maybe come ahead of Basileia for me in starting a new army.
Out of the 4 lists in this book, I like the ogres better, mainly because I'm an ogre player at heart. As my daughter says, I'm an ogre, right? You're an ogre! I think we'll end this primer on the Forces of Nature army list from the new Fracture book here. Just a reminder, there's some amazing theme and story and background in this book. And I love the fact, because, you know, Salamander's in the list, and the first thing I did was, well, did they explain it? Yes, they do. They explain why they're not in the army. I thought that was cool. You can read about why the changes occurred. We'll have more Army Primer episodes coming up. And until next time, keep countercharging.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Countercharge. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at counterchargepodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter at countercharge15, or by commenting on the Countercharge Kings of War podcast Facebook group. If you enjoy the show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Until next time, keep countercharging. Music is a composition of Kevin MacLeod and is licensed under Creative Commons.